Daddy,
Yeah.
Lovely to have you. Lovely to have you.
Yeah, it's great to be here too.
So a few minutes before we came on air, Daniel sent me a message. Says, yes, because maybe I'm time to say, SAS. But what does it stand for, though?
No, so SAS is Strategic African Securities.
Aha.
However, that is the brokerage firm, but there's SAS Investment Management, which is the asset management firm.
All right.
So we are all companies under the SAS Finance Group.
SAS Finance Group.
Which was founded by, I'm sure you know, the Venerable Togbe Afede, the 14th.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
What's in the company? But I welcome you again. Lovely to have you again.
Yeah. Great to
Business
be here.
Saying, because the last time you were here, you were blunt, even though me sure say Obos will be shaking his head. Na papa what you know say and Crawford says almost say come on pillars and then how does he want me to pay him? But you were being honest with us because at the time you were here, things were not so good. And we're talking about say ukrisika fire day. And you were honest to start the conversation by saying right now dear but from that time, I think it was January up until now, saying what do you think say easy up kakra?
Well, I think at the time, as we indicated, the options were quite limited, especially if it depending on Sika Ukra and Sanyuma. So I guess the idea was that do not be in a hurry to deploy the cash because in times of stress, cash itself is an asset class, as we said. I mean, at that time, if Ukra Sika Nankasa cry, no cry because it's much better than Wakoshe Bibi Muna. Because the environment was very uncertain. We couldn't really see ahead. Where there was a time we're talking about trying to get an IMF deal and all of those things for the country. But I think generally it has been better, as we've seen. Fuel prices somewhat stabilized. The almighty IMF deal Yensaka. So the macro economy, they will say that, or the overall economy, Yabeka say things are somewhat stable. I mean, finance, we try to say relatively, because we're always comparing to a certain period. So, I mean, if you look at as we are in July, if you compare July this year to July, or even July last year, and how just around that curve, Nana Sidina started teaching. So to have, I think over the past 1 or 2 weeks, even the CD appreciated by about 1% to the dollar. So we've seen some relative stability. Overall, I think we are in better times than we were, like you said, the last time we were here in January and all of that.
Absolutely.
So
which is very good.
Business is quite
However,
better.
a lot of businesses that I've talked to, have struggled. All the time, maniama call from no, woman so maniama aba from, and some of these conversations today be an ayemedin pose. I will have it because I'm someone who's advocating. Say before and shasienye womo juma. Even if we will be a juma now, we be on the side. I mean, of course, that is what will give you the financial freedom. But then these conversations also becomes very difficult to have because say obiako business mu no this Kenya na yemfa say be over for investment be waka ko GBF bush for now they akwa business na BBS na business na challenges na say oda from team and I say akakra na what to come flat down flat but ebia na just a few way from down flatter. What do you do? Let's start from, as a financial consultant, can business owners possibly avoid these kind of challenges?
This is one of the questions I say is a no and a yes question because yes, in a way you can avoid it because it be avoidable. It being so in shedding as we saw from about 2020 and the onset of COVID and some of those things, when there are general macroeconomic conditions which really affect you, finance because a market risk and it's outside of your control. I say things like the CD you import in your and the CD depreciates so much and shed anyone to really control. I mean, of course, you can have your hedging skills and things like that to try to mitigate an albeit impact in a also. But in general terms, you may not be able to avoid it much. But there's also the aspects where you as a person can also avoid. As we've said, so we are want to
yeah.
Senya maybe say ba ujina ona so kakra ebia entumi mo ento fam say na say ebia out of fam. Like I was having a conversation and I was saying that with one of our clients, and in these times there are a lot of grants. Mm-hmm. I mean, when some of these turbulent times come, there are a lot of these organizations,
especially these tech, women
in business, MasterCard Foundation, and all of those things. When some of these things happen, they come with some of these grants. Even the government, I think even the government had some package, I think, for the SMEs and all of those things. But so books in here, yakasa cash flow statement. It's just a statement showing so sikasa in the family business. And buy monosene a according to operations, according to investment, according to financing, all of those things. If you don't have some of those things, it becomes very difficult to get the help that you need. And anyama session see any akase ya the summit is turning on beto ade na scanner by the na fini enko pay but it's also not too difficult to do. Even if you have just one exercise book, you just keep anything if the bookkeeping. So a book now watch there's a cost any accountant far or which me prepare some simple books of account for you you can also use to apply for some of these grants and things, especially depending on the kind of business you're doing. If you qualify, hey, it's some of these monies are grants. I mean, it's kind of just and you also say be at the mountains and the open idea, they will be there to guide you, Yes, near the auto account, man, they'll pay there. But these are funds that can come into your business and can help you to restructure your business. So really, it's there's some of it that is avoidable, and there's some of it too that it's unavoidable. But generally, if you have put the right systems in place in your business, you should be able to weather some of these storms better than others who did not have that in their businesses.
Apart from bookkeeping, what can one say me? To say you made some reference to Ubia Yamva say Okraniama na control Sydney and a new in some quite dollar number for so will fare against the CD or vice versa and only new in some. What are some of the things structures are also say anchor and were in place for even businesses like that, they wouldn't have felt the impact so much?
So every business, you also need to have your buffers. So in good times, it's just like in the Bible when Joseph, had the dream that, look, there's time of abundance and there's a time of, there are going to be some times that are going to be difficult, In good times or in normal times, as a business, you should always have some money that you've put away. Say, if things go wrong, you lean on that fund to be able to get back on your feet. So just like you need an emergency fund. As a business, you also need to have an emergency fund. And as every business, you need to have an emergency fund. Oh yeah, yes, it's true. You are Obeka so no one am the shame, but say how the shame. Yeah, say obi antena fee, obeto ama COVID about. So there you see that. Okay, so ABS let's say what on 100 is when your 100 is you want to put the 100 CDs back in. Yeah, you can put 80 and put 20 into an emergency fund. So Sikawe the media told her say in the event say bibi say we bano. And apart from even down times, sometimes opportunities back. They be a downtime. Sometimes opportunities back. But all this kind now share blocks Maybe I will trap blocks now. Say me them yes can the trap block. It says can now lock or block me metal block. It's opportunity be a bank. I wait to me this be a cement be a ton and I wait to me talk. At a lower value or something, and a machine be somebody's going out of the business. So yes, you may be the machine or ton. It's a good machine.
Yes.
Or ton for cheap.
And in so when cases like that, turn cheap.
Only sika be ada baby. So you are unable to take advantage of some of those opportunities. So as a business, apart from, keeping your books right and all of those things, you always need to have an emergency fund. As the name stipulates, SMBC, that is when you go and take that money to try to get yourself out of trouble.
I like that. It means it's taking us back to conversations that you're having. Men train maybe being sick.
Exactly.
Because the thing is that conversations that you're having is to cushion you when BBC. Meanwhile, like I'm saying, it looks like your brain, and that it looks like your brain, because it's not meant to retain like BBI, a bekai BBI. Until every time you're bahan, your samba bekai was say. And Comona, a new deal last year, and your sign but any will be doing como say. And then your business, kakra ebemuno. Put something aside. Yeah. Put something
and
aside.
Every business, as we say, already be out into business because you saw an opportunity. So it doesn't end there, because even apart from downtime and every business goes through stages. There's the growth. Yes. Some will say there's a shakeout stage.
Yes.
And after Munama started, because there was a time everybody started doing pure water, and then the shakeout happened. Yes. Some people left the system because they couldn't stand anymore. It's but when you come into town, the water brands are being able 3-4 but there was a time almost from seller to seller, the other GBI a different brand. So even apart from things going bad and all of those things, the business that you are in, you must always be proactive and always be taking initiative to get ahead of the competition. Because, like I'm saying, the natural environment itself becomes competitive. And if you're not going ahead to use new technology, so now a lot of things are going digital.
Yes.
From digital natives, young for your they are digital natives. Oh, yeah, with TV, maybe even if he's watching TV, he's watching it on his phone. So how are you trying to get into that space for you to be seen? Absolutely. The times where I'll be out to a store anymore trying to say, they have watching out on several times on social media. You say, where's the hottest watches joint? Who knew you were trading or what? You understand? Over the past, I don't know, few months or so, some of the watch I've eaten, almost all of it, I saw it on social media. You say, hey, yes, I could be buying me. And sometimes you go to the corner and say, hey, I had a share. So, you still you have to get ahead of the pack. Yeah. Look at some of these digital technologies and how to leverage them. All these people at Abosio kind and things. Yeah. Your colleagues are on social media. So if you see what's a horse or train say, a man for sure walk into your shop. Obidu as a boss, me do how he makes the sale, he moves on. So even before downturns and things, downturn be my cry, bibi abba. People are there meeting their clients. Yes. In terms of being my hobby because they are going to the other places.
Because that alone can result in a downturn.
Exactly. That's the point. That anonkwano bibi then see, but anonkwano will take customers away from you. So to be ahead of the pack, you make sure that you're taking advantage of some of these technologies to grow your business.
I was emceeing at WASP launch. I think they are an IT network from one day.
IT platforms,
CBB. And, the conversations that were going on there was around, Africa's digital transformation and all that. Yeah. And one of the things that hit me is, the fact that we keep talking about 80% of our population being in informal.
Yeah.
Now say 80% near informal, then there's a problem. It means there's almost a majority
almost all of us, yeah.
Yes. Majority of the population who from informal there, then you need to reach there and find how what is our digital way because our literacy whether it's going to be in our language, that's what you should do. Otherwise, then it's going to take us another long time to get there. I really love what you're talking about. And yama wo ton won fe for ediweni. Enti ama akrakito bi o started and run was starting making sales because no use social media. And I would I feel still I would train so be shop. Into that alone can result in a downturn. But Daniel, let's look at the impact.
Sure.
Say, like you're saying, BBNC crab, you yourself know one down, and say you are down. How does it affect a person emotionally, physically? I mean, how does it affect a person? What's the impact on the business and on the person as well?
I think mostly, I mean, it's just as you may imagine that, when people are going through some of these times, it's pretty difficult. I mean, we have some of these situations, clients who, come to the office and say, look, business is down. I need to take some of my investment to go and do ABCD. What do you think? What do you advise?
Yes.
Do you think I should do A? Do you think I should do B? So it really takes a toll on everybody. But I think that for anyone who is absolutely into business, it comes with the territory. Business is not easy. Business is not easy. Say, you'll be a bibi kakresi. Now it may not be the place for you. Sometimes to be a course I can be bichira. Say, we all have different giftings. I had this boss who always used to tell me, say, look, I don't even business there. And then they ain't no school, no one formal employment. Say a busumi aso afi no metio bi ka na bi onisi ka no hu kwan obeka che nipa ne say no. He's not ready for that discomfort. Na kuma ni sa ade no nti on the end we hu ne de and odimu faithfully, and he's doing everything he can to make sure that one works very much for him. So yes, it takes quite a toll on you. So if really it's not something that you think you have the stomach for, you may have to reevaluate your options. Look, like I've told people, it's not only, there was a time where ABA would be a business and but sometimes when you identify a business that is going somewhere, you're part of the vision. Tim Cook, near you more apple, you almost can be no apple. What did I say? The bosses at Microsoft and some of those companies, but they've bought into the vision and they've grown with the companies, and then they're also doing well. So it's not all the time that you of necessity have to have your own business by force. Of course, like I said, so now was stomach no, and you think you have a good plan and a good product, and you've seen the market opportunity. Hey, by all means, pursue it. Of course, it also doesn't mean say any small challenge, but it will take it, because we see it every time when some of these things happen. In fact, over this period, you have clients coming to us, so you know that I don't usually withdraw these funds, but you also know how times have become. Maybe a bibi akosha metriema, bibi akosha metriema, ahana metriema, and say bia.
But no, as a financial, as their consultant, and from where you sit, what are some of the advice I would imagine? Because it could also be say, panic into no iska, because of course when you are panicking easy
it's pretty much on a case-to-case basis. So we know our clients very well, so we know those who you've seen. So one thing we are blessed with our SES, we have a lot of long-term clients who've been with us for 6 years, 7 years, 10 years, 15 years, because of course we've also been around for quite a long time. So the client's history. When you pull a statement, you can see, this is how things have been on your behavior. And they explain to you that this is what the situation is, and then and at the end of the day, or your investment, and also say, "Assemble no bit me what I say, that is the objective. If you put an emergency fund there, the emergency fund is there for an emergency. It's emergency. But now when you have say, oh, me, I'll patch saying.
I like how you are just back with that.
You understand? So yes, or the towards say, when you assess the situation, and the band school fees are so, baby or he has to pay the money. So hey, that's the whole point. He put the money there to build it up, so for when a situation like this comes, he can have access to the money. So in that time, that's not the time to be a businessman. When you are brand new, when you are brand to a foot, be a who here be no money, I don't know. I mean, you look at the situation
pathetic.
and be professional, and
like
I mean,
that.
ensure that you meet every client in the manner that they deserve to
in
be
your
met.
in your previous submission, you talked about some people going into business and they don't necessarily have to be in the forefront. At the same time, now business, but we to me are top part of it. We to me, kahuna, and I will see kahun.
Yeah.
It doesn't necessarily mean so now. Do you think, say, even in where we sit in the region where we are, do you think so? We've established something like that. Do we have systems like that in place? Ebi obi tea says ya or nunim say na kuma ni sa di ni sebo so mebeso. Afi na ni ni staff HC for salaries ni ade. But then ni je ho say enka obewo side hustle bi. But maybe necessarily enye so no na or share asia na no all running. How do you think does the system support things like that very well? And if so, which areas can people begin to try to test the waters?
I think, I mean, as you said, a lot of our economy is informal, and at the growth or the genesis of every business, usually it thrives on trust. Even out there, let's say in the US and all the advanced economies, you will start something with whatever. That's why you have a lot of the stories. And I started in my garage, and I did this, and I got this from my mom, and my brother gave me this. Because when you usually start a business, that's the kind of capital that you need. Patience capital. Yeah, go back and start a business. Bank be loan no. When you may run into difficulties.
Yes.
You understand? So you want patience capital to start with. So that is where you need people who trust you. Maybe down for be on a koba. Oh, nim say, Joe, they are good at these things. I mean, and people identify some of these things. I mean, this reminds me of a friend I had, or I have. I mean, he's in the US now, back in on campus now. He was in Commonwealth, who said, guy being in pool,
Yeah.
And I know we all these pool tournaments, and I think there was some registration fee or someone. I said, I will invest in you.
I like that. That's
a register guy, and the guy came second, and they won the second prize.
Wow.
So I mean, he had seen also Okobo Pulo who's guy, you're talent, I just say, me invest kakra when you so it speaks to what you're saying. People may see, say, we or Kasai on mother tongue. Okay, I can put something bound there. Once again, it comes to our culture and the business environment. Are people trustworthy? Can people trust each other? And all of those things. When the business to me that's when you can start looking at angel investors and you package the business in a way that you take it to them. In these days, there's a lot of talk. You can't say baby about private equity.
Yes.
So private equity is investing in businesses directly and not on so public equity is what we usually know, like how MTN is listed on the stock market and all of those things. And there's a lot of talk about that these days because of your pension funds we are investing in government securities and they say, if there were some good businesses normally idea you bet me a channel sikeye akoma. And indeed there are some very good things that have happened in the economy. I know there's one senior high school, I think it's a female senior high school. I say unya admission because I mean, it's booked.
Okay.
But I understand that school was built with private equity. I'm not for the school, and the school is professionally run.
You see the business plan and you realize
and it's professionally run.
I like that.
You understand? So there are those avenues to say, to me, your business need to me packaging here. Just yesterday, the GSE MD, Ghana Stock Exchange MD, Abena, she was talking about the commercial paper market. So they're trying to develop the commercial paper market where some of our big institutions can also lend. Commercial paper is usually a short-term lending tool, so that also when investors also will see car, you have to say be our own buying the. But let's imagine say MTN buy market say mom reme I'm floaty I mean or issue commercial paper worth say 100 million Ghana cedi or this shema for ABR 270 days or X amount of return. I'm sure people would want to put money into things like that, and what that means is that MTN has that money. will complain, maybe they now complain. They can also build more cell sites, blah, 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 improve their services. Not just MTN, that's just an example. A lot of other companies, if the commercial paper market is working very well, and they are trustworthy companies that will be BIG or Moody say, this company does well. Recently, I was telling someone about this business. Kofuya Ziomaji Baby Afe, they sell this fried rice. I think I've forgotten their name. They're almost everywhere these days. Pizza Man, yes. Pizza Man, okay. Yes. Okay. They're almost everywhere. Yes. So I'm sure if they were to package themselves well, and you can see their financials and see that, financials near and see, raise this fund. Wow, GAD. Because you eat the rice, you buy the pizza. So when you invest in the business, now infrastructure, but now it's when you're
yes, it makes a lot of sense.
That's how the other economies develop. You understand? And that's why you find somebody or no maybe you say Walmart and Kwano because only Walmart shares.
Yes.
The Walmart konenim.
Yes.
Nti Hong Kong turn there. Exactly.
Wow, now that makes lots of sense. That makes lots of sense.
Yes.
Because so
when we have some of these markets that are well developed, we can have all our business, our local businesses, take advantage of some of these structures, and then we can all take advantage of it.
My mind is coming to something, and I hope that one of these days I'll get Amma right in your seat to be able to ask her. First of all, when it comes to document that has to, and that's why Money Hub because when it comes to documents around stock market and I swear, I promise you. What could school council
no more P ratio, price to book, price to equity, price to earnings.
I'll see you another day. Yeah, it's almost like you throw it away. But as someone working, if it's to be broken down into smaller chunks, and it makes a lot of sense from what you just said it now. Now, like we still holding on to 80% here informal. Sad any day. Patrolko SAS china. Moncho kwaya mbefa so a. Sa conversation na you have every day no say 80% informal. If any then ye can say 80% ye informal. Na ye nra ho penetrate sa market na. And ye na Indian yeniska. Period.
I think there's been quite some effort to try to get the informal sector to formalize, in the sense formalizing and one thing. It's just making sure that they have proper books of account. You can track what they are doing. The business has proper structures. It's not always this one man. Even if it's a one man, it is well. Yeah, so this is the beneficial owner. But I think it's changing because you have a lot of the younger people now taking over some of these businesses. It's maybe papa or shop or Accra Central. After university, he goes to manage that shop, and they are trying to, for Obi Papa or printing press. After university, he goes to manage that printing press and try to,
order the knowledge.
So little by little, we're seeing that kind of progression in some of those businesses.
There's a lot that still needs to be done.
Oh yeah. There's a lot of room.
In fact, your friend is saying stock market assembly are working. Do you know the number of people? See, explain the way I will explain it. So because a while no part anyway. Into your for sika crash ho. Na say konenimu na wusu ko enimu. Why not? You will do that. Why not? All right. So I feel now we're having a conversation around what do you do after your business has suffered a major downturn. Kwamba so now be fast to turn it around. But the most important thing that Daniel has said so far, you need to go on Facebook though and watch and listen. In your spare time. That is if you've missed the first part, because the major thing I all center on is your systems. Systems now you can't want someone now feel so me micro so me big almost system well and no and I say wind in the blow and I storm the bar now with a form team. Because foundation in your strong system no and a better foundation of a job would dinner be strong. Near system now you can your book book say ne me to say and no say not just be consistent with it and yes so my kakra me ade kra my bread be but just to be consistent with it for you here dear say ade me be empese me hu pa say me nyamfa so ana say me nyamfa so when nyina ehu nya pa. All right Daniel say yensamra wo so yemre ne ya akopa say obi tie yen business say down flat. But Oshene life employment 9 to 5 enye dia to business ya ena he was born to do sure. Ni dream ni passion bibia how businesses say no near Messi whatever it is that happened at that form how do they begin to build on it and are they being partner on fan leverage on to begin to even start building on it again?
Okay. One key thing that I think you even mentioned it, CCA, is to have a plan. And before you have a plan, when our business in out there, you have to sit down and actually think about it. Sometimes when it's going through it, we don't really find time to really sit down and really look at it. Take a pen and a book and actually, okay, you see, the temptation is where you trim. You know, sometimes I'll call meeting be nebia otribuka no bo mo say omu de bia no match gu bia any tro enra wo ya mass no otrim o de 11.5 na ye and now we are won kai I no 11.5 na 11.45 you understand so sit down write it out clearly say this is where we are and then have develop a plan of how you think that you can turn things around. Focus on cash flow more than on profits. Yeah. So sometimes when things go wrong, I do a ton of 5 CD. Maybe I'll turn of 4 CD now, turn 5 because in your market down to say, "Name 8 CD, name a trade Emma." You understand? Focus more on cash flow. Okay, so it was now 24, now 25, but maybe because of this, you may be looking to sell at 4.8, so that it will move. You have more cash flow, able to clear whatever stock you have, and you're able to replenish with the newer vision that you have come up with. So you make sure you're focusing on cash flow and you're focusing on financial stability. If you work with people, look at your team. Don't forget you're all going through it. So sometimes I also want they also see it. You know, maybe our boy I want to call and necessary man. Maybe I must say be an out to money 20 but because your man is here and do manage no money. But make sure that you're looking at all those things to ensure that because they help you run the business. I like that. Then you focus on your expenses. First, there were some expenses at ABI. It was just a who here. ABI, no more.
There was me just
Ebiana every Friday, baby 9 year. But in these times, you may want to look to cut down some of those expenses. When you come out of these things and you want to reinstate Sanyamana, no problem. But you recognize that we are in a downturn.
Yes.
Or things are not going the way they should go. Don't pretend. You see, Ghana, sometimes we pretend. As I want to save face. Oh, young quite number who say I'm young.
Oh, so was it? You know,
you know. Friday be a corner young come back the young question one bottle cross any no it doesn't you don't have to impress anybody. I like that. So you don't have to impress anybody. Baby I do know yet me fa baby you I'm first a yellow CC was a Prague was one na ba na for
yeah
no for there now ko no yeah
when it's about timing.
Yeah,
it's about time we become very real with ourselves.
Exactly.
Say business no baby do know what so we turn Land Cruiser and now moving into a Picanto. Do so.
Of course, you would have to also analyze. Go be a business now. You know, so here Land Cruiser. No. ABI maybe the kind of clients you deal with. Ukotana ka so muntu 100,000 na de Picanto ne buy say, hey, yeah na de ba be say wa brabo. When the Picanto ba be 100,000, you fam out. You know, so maybe the Land Cruiser 2 serves a critical purpose for the business. But of course, maybe a business like Land Cruiser bar park in a series, and it's not essential to the business that you are doing now. What are you doing having that Land Cruiser park there when you need working capital? Unya working capital now did a bank away china the bank or loan when you have loan kakrakapa see car park. So it really depends on what business you do and whatever assets you have there what it does for the business. So yeah, those are the key things. Focus on cash flow, cut the unnecessary expenses, and focus on maintaining financial stability. And don't forget about your team,
I like
because
that.
you are all
don't
together.
Forget about your team.
Yeah,
oh wow,
forget
that's so solid. Don't forget about your team. I think so. That is what we constantly do, especially as employers. When things are going wrong, too many a team listen. Things are done.
Yeah.
You know, your employer feels sad, and I say, mina, lost. No. But the thing is, like you said, times were good. Now my BB say bonus, but so of course we are also affected. So the team is also very important. There's critical things that you've mentioned in it. Structures.
Yeah.
Very, very important. You've talked about technology.
Sure.
Or innovating.
Yeah, innovating.
Yes, innovating, staying ahead. You've talked about that. You've talked about planning. Yeah. And planning, you've talked about actually putting it on paper.
Yeah, put it on paper.
Not a woman.
And none of them working with no 4.5. You will be fee. Recently, who said, "Son of the brain, no, it's not meant to remember everything." Sure.
It's who idea with you and then so one throwing it down.
No.
By the next week, next 2 weeks, it is very, very important. Planning a year can you see? Fatu paper so I can say, yeah, you'll be.
Oh, me a shabre.
Oh wow, but this has been very, very insightful. Yeah. Daniel Nyankopo Aisha, thank you so very much. Thank you for passing through. But just before we go, do you want to put your details there?
Oh yes, I mean you can contact me if you can contact me on 0272.
Only contact him when you have money.
0272199875, or you can come to our offices. We're on the 14th floor of the World Trade Center, SCS Investment Management. When you come there, not just me, we have other professionals who can help you to have a proper financial plan to help you go through whatever you're going through. Yeah.
Thank you so very much. Daniel, Ochina, Nyameya Adomwa, na udu ejumemwa. Odi fa pen and paper, na 80% informal. Chireme kwa ebe fa so a ebe ra onye sika kakra. Why? Mene wo kwa. Odi say SCS nya, odi mene wo. Na fa paper no na yen share se ne ebe ya. But I'm sure say SCS will come on board. All right. So Daniel Ankuma is the head of asset management at SAS Investment Management Limited. I told you so. I told you. When it's Daniel, EM book is practical. All right. This has been the Money Hub with me, Casandra. Have yourself a wonderful, wonderful evening. It's been always awesome coming your way.